Boxing King Media in association with Boxro. Shane, the last time we spoke, he was causing a huge stir. In fact, the last time we spoke, somebody walked into the interview, Joseph Parker. Oh, there's no Joseph Parker around today.
Yeah, man. Do you know what? Scary times, eh? Shit myself. Nah. You know what? Me and Joe, and I'm just going to put this out there, yeah? People are still not going to believe me anyway. Me and Joseph Parker have known each other, so I'm 27 now, for probably about a good 6 years, yeah? Like, we WhatsApp, not often, but like from time to time. And I made a comment about something I heard about sparring, not saying it's true, but I heard. He made comments he heard about sparring about Joyce, and it obviously unsettled him a little bit, and that's what he said, and he came at me. And now, unfortunately, since then, he's blocked me on social media.
I didn't know he blocked you. That's pretty deep. What's I'm guessing you've not been able to get in touch with him?
Nah, he blocked me, and I felt like no, he did. He blocked me, and then I messaged him on Instagram. He blocked me on Twitter. That was what he blocked me on Twitter. I messaged him on Instagram. I was like, man, I've got so much respect for you. Like, I don't want what happened on Fight Week to come across the wrong way. Like, I've got so much time for you. Like, one of my favourite fighters, and favourite people in the sport. He's honestly such a nice guy. It's like unbelievable. And he said, thanks a lot, brother. No harm at all. Congrats on your win. Like, that's the kind of man he is, really. So,
But he kept you blocked, so it is what it is, isn't it? So we're here, Katie Taylor Fight Week. You guys have got a couple of fighters in the card. John Hedges, Big Johnny Fisher. More learning fights for both of them.
Yeah, Johnny Fisher's in a tough test, actually. Dominic Musil's a good fighter, got a good record. Gave David Adelaide a very tough fight for 4 rounds. Actually won a couple of those rounds as well. And then he beat an undefeated guy in his last fight. He's coming to win, man. He's brought a lot of team members with him, invested his own money to bring his team over here. So he's coming to give it a good go. So it's going to be a tough fight, tough night on a Saturday night. But Johnny is a lot better now. He's a lot more experienced. He's been sparring top elite level fighters and giving more than, he's been having 50-50 spars with these guys as well. So I expect a good Johnny Fisher. I expect to come out with a good win and learn something from it as well, which is the most important thing.
Definitely. I was actually at the Tibbs' gym a few weeks back when he was sparring Guido, and you know what? I was very impressed. I actually said to him, he looked better in that spar than I've seen him in actual fights in the ring.
Yeah, that's it. Because people forget that's where he's doing his learning. Where he hasn't had the amateur pedigree as maybe like a Guido or another guy. That's where he does his learning. That's where he's testing out his new things, and some of these new things are working that he's trying and working out. So. But eventually that will transfer into the actual ring. It just takes time. I say it's just a time thing. So, and we saw in his last fight, he was a lot more patient, got behind the jab and threw the right hand over and ended the fight. So I'm expecting an even better Johnny Fisher this time, and an even better Johnny Fisher will beat Dominic Musil in even better fashion than what he won his last fight in. So I'm excited for it. And it's going to be a good night, and he's done over 2,000 tickets. It's going to be absolutely electric in there when he's about to walk out. And that's what he's got to manage. He's got to manage to stay focused, not let the crowd get to him, and throw shots he doesn't need to throw, and just stay composed and get under the jab. And he's got a lot of boxing ability as well. He hasn't just got a big right hand. So it's going to be exciting night, and I actually really can't wait for it.
2,000 tickets, that's ridiculous. That's a lot of money, and he's going to be walking away a very rich man as well by the end of the night.
Do you know what the thing is as well, right? He would do even more if he wasn't fighting so regularly. You got to think he can fight up to 7 times a year, yeah. So you got to think about all these people that are constantly forking out. People haven't always got money to do it every time he fights, especially coming up to Christmas and that this year. So if he was fighting this, he'd probably do even more. He reckons if he fought Chris Lovejoy, he could do the Copper Box on his own. He reckons he could do about 6,000 tickets.
I'd love to see that. I just want to get your opinion on other matters outside boxing. Conor Benn yesterday gave up his British boxing licence. From what you've seen and heard and read from the way Eddie Hearn's handled it, he's obviously had a lot of criticism about the way he's handled it. What do you make of it all now that Conor's given his licence up?
Do you know what? It's a very difficult. It's a really difficult thing to comment on because number one, there's so much legal stuff around it. Number two, Conor hasn't really spoken out, which I don't know. I don't really know if that benefits him because I think sometimes it's best to address the situation. You failed a drug test at the least, whether it's you call it an adverse finding and whatnot, but you at the end of the day you failed a drug test, so it could be accidental. All these things do happen. I think it's just best to address it. I think it would have been best for him just to come out and say to the fans, like, this is what happened, I apologise and whatnot, and then try and move forward and rebuild his name, and I'm sure the fans will forgive him. I mean, there's been plenty of other very good fighters in the past who have maybe slightly damaged their reputation for a little bit of time for failing a drug test. Like, look at what happened with Fury, look what happened with Canelo, and now they're like the two biggest names in the sport, and no one ever talks about it anymore. So there are ways back, but I just feel like you need to address it and sort the situation out, and then that's it. But I don't want to say too much because I don't really know. I can imagine Conor's going through a lot mentally right now, and he probably needs a lot of support and the right people around him, and he's got great people around him. Matchroom are an incredible company, incredible promotional company. Caused a lot of problems for the sport as well, so I hope that it can all just be put to bed and that we can move on from the Conor Benn situation, and I hope he gets the opportunity to rebuild his name and move forward with his own career, and Matchroom can move forward with their events and keep putting on great shows.
That's quite a fair point. And also want to get your opinion on Tyson Fury picking Chisora as an opponent. Frank Warren obviously went through the box listing, which I did challenge him on, and I asked him about the WBC rankings. There's quite a lot of fighters that he missed out. What do you make of it all, and is Chisora the right fight?
I mean, when you look at it, is Chisora the right fight? I mean, he's coming off a win against Pulev. I mean, essentially, it's not a great fight stylistically either. The other two wasn't really great fights either. Chisora's a name. If you're going to fight Usyk in March, fighting Chisora in December should completely redeem it all, because you can't go in back-to-back hard fights in 3-4 months, whatever it is. Yeah, that's too much on the body and whatnot. This is just basically to keep Fury in sync, keep him active, and then he's going to fight the other unified heavyweight or undisputed. You can't give him stick for that. It's just crazy. It's like this event, isn't it? Katie Taylor fought Serrano in her last fight. She can't then go and fight another elite fighter here. That's why she's having a bit of a softer touch here, because then she'll probably have another really hard fight afterwards, maybe the Serrano rematch or something.
But you know, a counteract to that, Shane, back in the day people did that week in, week out. They were doing it every couple of weeks. They
did, but boxing changes, boxing moves on, and it wasn't the same as it was years ago, I guess. There wasn't the politics in the sport there was years ago and whatnot, and fighters had different mindsets and stuff back then. I guess things were just different, but I just struggled to criticise Fury as a man and Frank Warren as a promoter if you're going to make Usyk in March. If they didn't make Usyk in March, then go into them, give them stick, because then they would deserve it. But if you're going to fight Usyk in March, which I'm pretty sure they are, because I'm sure it's almost done now, then fair play to them. Like, I can't expect him to fight a Joe Joyce in December, because then if he fights Joe Joyce in December, he's never going to fight Usyk, and he would never be ready, because number one, he wouldn't win. Number two, even if he did win a razor-thin decision or something, he would never be fit to fight in March against Usyk. So I completely understand it. I'm completely for it. If Joe Joyce was fighting Fury in March, he wouldn't be fighting Usyk in December, for example, would he? Like, you know, it wouldn't really make sense. So I can't really criticise him, because I wouldn't really say that we would do any different.
Shane, appreciate your time. Anything else you want to add before I let you go?
Oh yeah, no, that's it, mate. Bang on, ready for Saturday and Friday for Guido, of course, as well. Hopefully 3 wins and 3, and then we can move on to the next one.
Appreciate your time, thank you.
Top man, mate.